All right, so a little bit about what I do basically is I have a PR company, and my company is basically called Prestige Leadership Advisors, and it's centered basically around a book that is now a best-selling book. It's a #1 bestseller, which is now also translated in 7 languages. Now, the reasons why I'm showing you this is because I want to talk to you today later at the tail end of my presentation about being an author and how very valuable that is. And even though you might think to yourself, what in the world am I going to write about? You'd be surprised, okay? Because you have a voice. So I'm bringing this up because I am now, because of my book, I am able to travel across the planet. I have done many seminars and workshops in many countries with translators. I get to deliver workshops and seminars in public relations, in leadership, and in public speaking. And I've met a lot of people who are what you might call dignitaries in my audience, public officials, business owners, and leaders. And this whole idea came about because public speaking and presentation is a key element of the idea of public relations. If you don't communicate well, if you don't communicate with a message that attracts attention, you are not going to be able to raise your status. You're not going to be able to raise your reputation. And it all has to do with your ability to communicate. Make sense? So public speaking isn't just standing up here like this and saying, okay, I'm now going to give you a speech. Thank you very much for being here. I promise I won't take up too much of your time. Blah, blah, blah. Please. Public speaking is anywhere that you speak that is not enclosed in a captive room or audience. You see? It is something that where you are able to communicate a message, whether it be social media, whether it be your website, whether it be YouTube, whether it be radio, television, podcasting, webinars, teleconferencing, standing up in front of a business association, networking, anywhere you go. You're in an elevator, you push a button, you're both going to the 30th floor. Guess what? You've got a minute to make a presentation. That's public relations. We don't think about that sometimes. We don't think about who are we making a positive impression to and how do we do that. So I want to talk to you about the importance of public relations. Because public relations is all about how you present yourself, your products, and your services. Marketing's job is to message out your statement on the right channel to attract the correct audience that you're trying to attract. Public relations is this. Public relations is how desirable and to what degree of acceptability are you in the area you're marketing in. If I said to you, come to my office, and I got marketing, and it took me X amount of dollars to get people to come to my office, and the building was a shambles, the elevator was smelly. Okay? There was dirt on the floor of the steps. When you walked in my office, it was disheveled and trash was in the corner. How did I make my marketing dollars work there when my PR did not support to make marketing work? It's a good example. You see? Just to take this on a personal level, there are people that online date. You see? And they get the marketing. All the marketing is there, and there's these beautiful messages, and and the photographs are beautifully, photoshopped, okay? And everything's just perfect. And and the phone call happens. Yeah, how you doing? Yeah. Reputation. Marketing went out. All that time spent. Or you show up on the first date. I'm bringing dating up because it's so often some people get first date and the person's yapping like a chicken. Okay? Doesn't ask a question, person's not listening, terrible communication skills. Public relations, speaking. How do we present ourselves to the world around us? That first slide of inspiration, are you inspiring? Do you act inspirational? Is your message moving people? This is public relations. How do you come across? Have you seen some of the Facebook postings? I've had my jaw dropped. I go, what is this person doing? What kind of effect is this person trying to create? I mean, I've seen the worst. I've seen people holding up their dirty laundry. Literally, their dirty laundry. Does anybody know how to make this clean? What is this? What kind of effect and impression are we making? Public relations is attracting to the reputation and the sense of, much like you have as a receptionist becoming the director of first impressions. That's the title of a receptionist, really. The director of first impressions. When you call in a company, the first thing that happens on the phone is what? A pleasant, cheerful, polite, courteous, professional voice who knows how to communicate. Do you know how your office is receiving calls? Some technicians pick up the phone while they're working. You know, what do you want? Hey, Jeff. This is Jim. What's up? Excuse me, who's this? Yeah, it's Jim. What's up? I said, Jim, are you working? Yeah, I'm in a job right here. I'm sorry. What do you need? What happened to manners? What happened to manners? Courteousness. I love that bell. I know you're trying hard to turn that off. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
That's okay. But see, the point is, people now get this. People now are watching more than ever. They're watching. You know that song by I'll Be Watching You? What is that, Sting? This is 2016, man. Everywhere you go, and the police forces all across the nation cannot even do law enforcement because they're concerned, like they know they're being watched by a phone everywhere they go. And it's prevented them from doing law enforcement, unfortunately. They're like paranoid. Which is a good thing, they're being watched in a lot of ways. But you've got the most visual influenced world now. So get it together, because everything you're doing from a PR standpoint, from design, from manners, from your communication skills, from the way you position yourself in your business, who you're allied with. Who you're allied with is very important. People know you by the company you keep. Remember that? When you get all of that in alignment, and there's a PR checklist I have with all my clients. I have a very extensive PR checklist, and I put that checklist in. And you'd be surprised what's part of public relations is a checklist. Okay? You're being watched. It's not to make you feel introverted or paranoid or something, but you're being looked at with everything, even on the job. Have you noticed, if you're a blue-collar worker working out, I hate that word blue-collar, but I have to just tell you, white-collar, blue-collar, pink-collar, I don't care. Okay, people are watching you work. You know what they're doing? They're looking at you working to see if you really like what you're doing. Does that person enjoy their job? Do they look like they're happy? Do I want this person to help me in my business? I don't know. How you deliver your product and service will tell people your public relations. How you treat criticism. How you treat a complaint. If you get a complaint, how do you handle that? Do you listen or are you defensive? Okay, this is some of the approach to public relations, which is all about courteousness, politeness, professionalism, friendliness, all those basic virtues and values that we all espouse to, correct? Because people love to do business with people who have those values and virtues. That's great public relations. That's why they call it public relations. You're creating a relationship. You see? One of the most disagreeable, I think, types of approaches that one would protest in ways would be the type of approach where you don't ask any questions, you go to a business networking meeting, and you're a card pusher. And all you're doing is talking about your products and services without even asking. This, to me, is, you might as well walk out the door. Because the very first thing we do, public relations, is to ask questions about the other person. Why is that important? I'm not about to tell that person who I am unless I find out what's important to that person about what I might be able to help that person with. And before I even do that, I'm going to give that person some advice. I'm going to help that person with some ideas without asking for permission, because I'm sure that if I can help that person to do better, that person's going to see that I'm offering something to them that is helpful. Right away, they feel that I'm trustworthy. So I'll say, you know, this is what I'd like to do for you. What? How much is this going to cost? Nothing. I think you need this. I'm going to help you. How else am I going to show and demonstrate that I'm competent? How many of you do this? How many of you do things for people before you ask them to do things for you? Yeah, it's very, very important. Do things for people. Show them you're trustworthy. Show them you're reliable, dependable. It's great public relations. They like you. You're communicating to people so you can raise the level of accord and respect and trust, which is what public relations is all about. Now they start calling you, hey, Joe, you know what you said the other day, blah, 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 yeah? Well, you know, I have a question about that. What would happen if blah, 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 blah? Go, oh, that's easy. Here's what you do. Oh, man, yeah, thanks a lot. Listen, I'm going to come see you. I'm going to bring my team next week. We're going to sit down, and I want to know a little bit more about what you're doing. Okay. Creating a relationship. So I want you to make a note of this. I want you all to raise the standard and quality of how you present yourself. You're speaking in public and presenting yourself in a way that you are someone that cares about them. I have a chapter in my book called The 5 C's of a Commanding Speaker. And commanding isn't somebody who's like this, you know, George S. Patton type person. Although I've been labeled a little bit like that sometimes. Okay. But commanding is, number 1 C, caring. They want to know that you care about what they care about. Do you care about what they care about? C, caring. You wouldn't think that that's commanding, but boy, people will just adhere to who you are, what you do, because you care. There's that old slogan, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? Okay, number 2, comfortable. Have you ever wanted to do business with somebody nervous? Like desperate? No. Comfortable. How about like comfortable with themselves first? Comfortable. What does that mean? That means that person has nothing to hide. That person is like unsure. He's thinking too much. If he's thinking too much, he's not prepared, not organized, comfortable. Number 3, confident. Are you confident? Don't just show confidence because I have to show I'm confident now. You know that you're confident. There's nothing to prove when you're confident. You're just confident. Confidence is kind of a relaxed thing. It's relaxed. You're confident because you know you know. 4th, credible. Are you credible? Credibility, here's something in public relations that will heighten your reputation. Make this point. When you make a point about anything regarding your product or service, any point at all, prove it. In public relations, you document stats, quotes, historical documentation from journals, and document as much as you can. Professor such and such from the Environmental Control Journal dated July 13, 2015, stated this, and I quote, "There's 4 support sources to back up your credibility. When you promote and market your service to others, are you creating credibility? Are you proving the point?" You know which is great about this? People need to know that what you're saying is true, because the amount of trust now is becoming more diluted and waned, particularly in the area of finance. Okay? Economy. You're going to find that nobody trusts anybody in that business right now, and they don't even trust themselves, and that's the first thing you've got to do is get people to trust themselves. That's why we educate people. If we educate people, they're more trusting of themselves. They don't trust banks. They don't trust Wall Street. They don't trust Main Street. Who do they trust? Give them credibility support. Give them a story. You could even tell a story of how you handled someone. That's credibility. You were there. Here's my story. You come out, you give your presentation. How many of you stand up in front of people and give a presentation? Good. Come out, you go, "Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have a story I want to tell you. 12 years ago, and now I've got your attention, and I'm about to go into a story of how I solved a problem for a client, and I'm giving all the details of the solution that we came up with for this client, and every nook and cranny of that solution, and how I went through hell and high water to serve that client and resolved the pain of that problem that client was having. Do you think that would give you credibility? You bet. Because it's a story and it's personal. And at the end of your story, tell the moral of the story. What's the lesson? You see? Like every single one of us should have this level of reputation that we can prove. The last C is charisma. And you might think, I really don't have charisma. I'm not a political or religious leader. Or something like that. Charisma is when you have all 4, caring, comfortable, confident, credible, you're more likely to have charisma. And you know what that is? It's being able to inspire and motivate others and influence them to do positive things. That's all charisma is. People will want to know more about you. That's charisma. So take a look at all of this, and how are you presenting yourself to the world? Now, I want to tell you this. Every single business owner should be on the front page of their website, unless a marketing specialist like Steve will tell you otherwise, and for good reason. But I think that there needs to be a statement given the owner of the business, and there needs to be a communication that is very, very open, accessible, sincere. Those 5 C's should be present. You're able to communicate on camera because you care about your business. You're interested in them. What are the benefits of your business to your client, potential client? How are we going to give you value? Don't talk about features, talk about benefits. Because you're extending yourself to your public that way, and when they see you, they'll want to see you more. They don't know who you are, because seeing is believing. When Iacocca in 1983 became the very first major CEO to go on national TV and do a commercial, he went on TV to do a commercial because Chrysler just took a huge loan from the federal government, and Reagan said, "Okay, here you go. I hope you pay it back." And Iacocca, being the person that he was, felt very ashamed that he had to borrow from the government. And when he went on the air, he paid for that ad. And you know what he basically said? "I'm here to tell you not to lose trust in Chrysler. I'm here to tell you, please believe that we will build a better car. We borrowed this money so it gives us a little bit of a jolt to be able to make it over the hill. Right? We are going to build a better car for you. We're going to," and he went on and on for 60 seconds. Power-packed 60 seconds. And that loan was paid back in 6 months. And Christ arose to the top at that time because he decided to connect to the audience and communicate and demonstrate the most important public relations rule there is. Continue to communicate to your public. When you stop communicating, guess what happens? Continue communicating to your public, because when you stop, people are going, what's wrong with Jim? We haven't heard from him. I wonder is he out of business? They start creating things like, he must be out of business, or his competition from the big companies are not taking over. Poor Jim, we haven't heard from Jim. So I go, Jim, what's happening? Oh, nothing, we're okay. I haven't heard from you. You fill it in, you fill a vacuum in with the worst possible scenario. You continue, and I know that Steve will be talking about continuous communication from a marketing standpoint, but I want to tell you that one of the ways you keep your messaging in front of people is that you have a brand that they recognize continuously. In your branding, I'm going to tell you the most forgotten, ignored, violated principle is to not understand intellectual property. It's part of public relations. Intellectual property is like, I own this, but it's not physical. It's not an object. I own no fear speaking because I applied to the United States Patent and Trademark Office for a trademark. Now I own it. Nobody can take that away from me. No fear speaking is owned by me. Not because it's on the front cover of a book. You can put any title on the front cover of a book, by the way. You don't have to trademark your title. But I was turned down the first time. I have an IP attorney who instructed me with a beautiful 2-hour indoctrination on the value of intellectual property. Like my design, my front cover of my book. I have 5 service marks in my book. Drill for skill, subtractive improvement, the 5 C's, authentic versus synthetic speaking. I own those. That's public relations for me because people will associate those intellectual property brands with me. I want that. You get the idea? How many of you have a brand? Okay, what is your brand? What makes you identifiable by the public? How do they identify you? That's the difference between PR and marketing in that sense. How do you want to be positioned as? That looks like the Coca-Cola thing. Or, that's almost similar to the... And a lot of music people got into trouble because their music sounded like major stars' music. And they were taken to court because they were being accused of plagiarism. You see? How do you do that? I mean, that is some real subjective stuff right there. Because it's a sound, it's a sequence of notes. Okay? But you have the ability and the choice of distinguishing you from everybody else by your brand that makes you identifiable. That is a unique, what I call a unique branding proposition. You have unique sales propositions, you have unique marketing propositions. IP, intellectual property, is a unique branding proposition. And a sea of fish that are all similar, how are you differentiated? Again, how is the public relating to you? Right? So these are key elements in a checklist. And what I like to do when I sit down with someone is to go over the product, the purpose of the product. How are they expressing this product? Because you want that product to be expressed with a brand that is integrated with how you're expressing it. Correct? Questions so far? Anybody? Is this making sense? Yeah? Good. Matt? Oh, good? Good. All right. So I got a couple of notes here, and that all needs to be seamlessly integrated. All right. I'm going to tell you, how many of you know what a press kit is? Okay? How many of you do not have a press kit? Ooh. Shame. All right. All right, let me just tell you, how many of you are business owners? You're all business owners. You all have your own business, correct? All right. How many of you would like to have your business in the most favorable light with as many opportunities for people to see it? That's what a press kit is and does. Press, publicity, media kit. You've heard of a media kit. You've all gotten these things from radio stations and TV stations and advertising companies where they give you this hard copy. It's called a media kit. You open it up and there's pages and there's like statistics and, you know, and their coverages and who's who and all that. And you went on it for 1 minute and you threw it out. There's too much information. A press kit is a very valuable and important collection of who you are, what you have accomplished, who has said wonderful things about you. It has a little bit of you as a bio and your history. It has quotes and testimonials from satisfied clients and customers. It has in it photos that you have selectively demonstrated to the public that you are trustworthy and respectful and care about your community, like at special events, nonprofits, maybe dignitaries, showing that you're shaking hands with dignitaries, showing that you are standing in front of the Rotary Club and you're giving a presentation, something like that. You have a video in your press kit. Again, this is not hard copy. See, all of you are going, oh my God, I got to do all that. Yes. Do you know why? It makes it so much easier to do marketing. And your marketing's response will be out the top because people see that you are a person that is reputable, trustworthy, respectful, highly acceptable, have high standards, and people will want to do business with you. That press kit needs to be constructed. Where does it lie? On the website. It lies on the website. The first thing they do is, I am constructing a website. Actually, Galaxy is constructing a website for me. It's in planning to do a separate website from my company and my book. I have two websites, nofearspeaking.com and prestigeleader.com. I am going to have joeyazbecklive.com, right? And that will be released, and it's going to be my entire press kit on everything I've done, what I've achieved, what other people have said about me, my books in 7 different languages, videos in different countries. Why? Because I want to promote to talent buyers and meeting planners and international organizers across the world to book me and to get my book sold. Therefore, they need to know, they need to see it. When I was in the music business, I became aware of something very important. Talent buyers will not buy musicians or bands unless they can see their performances on video, on a website. They just won't have anything to do with it until they see you. Seeing is believing. For example, Matt, show people what you do when you fix something. Show them in a video, right? And you could talk about it. How many of you watch cooking shows? Aren't they unbelievable? Some of them are bad, some of them are really good because they're cooking, the video is good, and they're taking you through the process, and they're giving you a little historical background. They're giving you all these things, and you become like connected to this cook because they're educational and they're raising respect for you, right? So when you're out there, I do videos with clients. By the way, Wayne does a fantastic job, and I'm not here just promoting and plugging him. But what he does is he takes people through a process where they get to show the actual, it doesn't matter. As long as it's truthful and you believe in that message, okay? And it will connect to the audience because they can relate to it. You have to know your audience. There's a first chapter of my book. By the way, that book is all about presentation. It's not just about public speaking. And you'll learn quite a bit about how to present anything, even how to write a book, because a book is a presentation. And you'll learn how to write your book based on the laws of presentation, right? So when I say to you, know your audience, who's your audience? Don't put a message on a channel that is arriving to the wrong audience. Another thing is, don't put a message that you're intending for an audience on the wrong channel. Got it? And by all means, do not put the wrong message on any channel or audience. Okay? You got message, channel, audience. Think in terms of those three. That's a good take-home for you right now. You could have the wrong message on the wrong channel heading to an audience you're trying to attract. You'll turn them off. You want message, channel. For example, should this message go out to social media or not? Or should it go to your database? Maybe it's a more secure message. Maybe it's a message that's more within house. It shouldn't go out to the broad public. Right? And maybe if is your message too in-house to go out to the broad public? And are you using the right channel? How many channels do you have? Think about that. Promotion is the channels that you use to get your communication out. How many promotional channels do you have? That's promotion. How many different ways can I promote? How can I send things out? Marketing is all about creating desire and need for a product or service, because it is the messaging of that content that goes out, that brings the response in. Okay? Your audience you have to find out, where are they? Right? Where's your audience? How do you find them? My audience? I do a lot of promotion on LinkedIn for social media. I do a lot of promotion on Facebook, but it's a different audience on Facebook. So my messages are a little bit different on LinkedIn. I have messages on YouTube that are videos. It's my video channel. And I also have my database. So these are people that know me. These are people that attended my events, purchased my books, been to my webinars, right? So it's a little bit more, further along in terms of development of my message. That's the difference. Authorship, one last thing. You want to become a leader in your business? There's lots of ways, and perhaps you already are. But there's a few ways other than standing up and speaking in front of an audience, because your audience will elect you their leader for that period of time. Okay? Number two, get yourself, of course, presenting out to social media in a way that raises respect and trust. Okay? But when you write a book, my whole universe of business, my entire, what would you call it? My entire persona, huh? Sphere of influence. Sphere of influence, very good. Raised up in an accelerated fashion when I released my book and it became a bestseller. Right? An author, the word author is in that word authority. And people say, well, what do I write about? How did you get there? What lessons can you teach people? I don't care if you're just an insurance salesman, or you're just a HVAC specialist, or you're just, what does that mean? It means nothing. Write your book, get your voice heard, put some lessons, lesson learning experiences in that book for others to learn from and gain by. Because what are you doing in a book, much like you're speaking in front of an audience? It's your audience or it's your readership. You're moving your audience to the next step. What is the next step? That's what you want to think in terms of. What's the call to action of your book? That's great PR. What are you calling your audience to take action for? A book will give you tremendous gravitas, okay? And it has to be done well. All right? If you want to sit down and have If you have any interest in, like, I'd like to write a book about, it might not have anything to do with your business. Maybe it has to do with the fact that you visited these countries as a veteran and you became aware of cultural diversity and blah, blah, blah. Whatever it might be. Whatever it might be, it's a book. And it gives you a whole level of status and sphere of influence to affect change. There's a development process. The last 6 authors I have had as clients went bestseller. That's not difficult. That's not difficult. But what goes in that book from beginning, the attention-getting opening, the intros, the prefaces, the chapters, the titles of those chapters, the interior design of that book, and how you move that reader right to the end, wanting more, what do you want them to do next is the question. Now you're affecting change on lots of people. Okay? Now they read your book, you stay connected to them, they come to your website. There's where the connection between public relations and marketing takes place. They come to your website through social media, right? They go to social media from your website. All the marketing materials, all the Google ads, Facebook ads, all those things that Steve is going to be talking about next really will start making a difference for you. Okay? Was this helpful? Yeah? Great. Thank you very much. All right.